Hey folks, quick disclaimer about Greasy Says, my new show about being a game developer for 15 years who's brown. Okay, Greasy Says contains explicit language, adult situations, and viewer discretion is strongly advised. Right? Greasy Says is supposed to be a comedic take on what it's like to be in the gaming industry from my perspective, but I'm not out here trying to make people feel uncomfortable just for the sake of it. So, to sum it up, I have a potty mouth. Don't let your kids listen to this shit. And kings and queens above 18 only. Let's try that. All right? Lay is...
Haha, let's get this party started.
Tied up with the professional.
Greasy Says.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, everybody? And welcome back to Greasy Says. My name is Greasy, aka Arturius Maximus, aka M-Cue. And here we are on Greasy Says, once again. A show about my perspective on the gaming industry. I've been working here for a while, in a lot of roles, and there's a lot of shit that is not talked about in the gaming industry that I aims to talk about. I get greasy.
Anger.
I get stanky. You might not agree with me, I might offend you. I'm actually a nice person. Ask my friends, like all 5 of them. But if you're back, if you have returned from listening to a previous episode, thanks for coming back, y'all. We're just gonna keep going. You know what I mean? Thanks for the questions. People writing in and asking me questions on social media or just shooting the shit. That's cool. I have a really sweet quote from the homie Jeremy. Legit, yours is the only one-person podcast I've ever enjoyed. I think it's because you actually know how to structure and edit instead of just rambling. Huge compliment. Not entirely accurate, but very kind. Because I do ramble. I do know how to edit though. So all the rambling gets cut the fuck out. But I ramble. I fucking ramble. I'm here alone in my fucking studio. There ain't nobody to like look at me weird and tell me like, or give me that look of like,
you all right, bro? You good?
So I just keep going, talking to myself like a fucking maniac. But it's like, I love that. I can't claim credit, like 100% honesty with y'all. Like, I listen to Bill Burr. I fucking love Bill Burr. He's like one of the best comedians in the world, in my opinion. And his format, I very much relate to. Like the first time I heard his show, I was like, oh shit, this is what I want to do. So I'm not the only one out there. He's way funnier than I am for sure. But thank you, Jeremy, for that fucking lovely comment. I appreciate it. I also got another question from Vian, who asked, have you found a space of trust as a person of color in games? I find that question very hard to answer. It stumped me for a while. I've had this question like sitting here for a while. Have I found a space of trust? Like how? Like, have I found a space of trust among other people of color in the gaming industry? Or have I found a space of trust in the gaming industry as a whole, which is predominantly, like in America at least, it's a white industry. So have I found a space of trust as a person of color in that? And then it comes into the bigger picture of, have I found a space of trust as a person of color in America? Because no. So no. It just keeps trickling down, no. To be honest, there aren't that many black and brown game developers. They're growing, but I've been around for a minute, so in my perspective, not really. There's a vast minority of people of color in the gaming industry. So it's hard to find a space of trust. And because the gaming industry is a fucking business, don't get it twisted. It's a fun business. It has lots of cool people in it, and it's forward thinking, and it's the future, and it's entertainment, and it's a lot of fun. But it's still an industry. Just because it's an entertainment industry does not change it from being a fucking corporate, capitalist endeavor. So I personally, I try not to get too hung up on trust in those kind of fucking ballrooms and those battlefields, because spaces of trust don't really exist too much in corporate and capitalistic endeavors, unfortunately. I try to be good shit out there, but a lot of folks ain't, especially the ones with the dollars. That's how they keep them dollars. So I don't know if I answered your question, Vian, but I thought it was a great question. I'm gonna keep that rumbling around in my fucking head. Space of trust as a person of color. Like, I gotta define the damn thing before I can answer it. You know what I'm saying? But I love it. Keep them questions coming, y'all.
And how can they do that?
Oh yeah, simple. Follow me at Greasy Says. Greasy, like greasy, like the fries. Says, like you heard what I says. On TikTok, Instagram. That was a horrible fucking... The first part was cool, but then the says part fell apart. I apologize. It's Greasy Says. Greasysays. And that's on TikTok. That's on Instagram. That's on Facebook. Or you can check out my music or my musical. Yeah, my musical. Oh, Jesus Christ. You can check out the music I make at M-Cue, M-Cue. And that's on Spotify. Hey, the streams are up, by the way. Streams are up. So thank you, everybody out there that's listening. Yeah, on Spotify is M-Cue, on Soundcloud is M-Cue. Find me on Twitter where I suck at twittering. Have a ball. Let's do it.
Today's key is...
Who's got a question?
Well, this week it's me. I have a question. And my question is,
How come Nintendo has no black characters?
I can remember first playing a Nintendo. It was at a wealthy friend's house. Back in the 80s, if you had a Nintendo, when that shit first came out, you were rich, okay? Drink your privilege and be quiet. My buddy had 2 games. The Mario Duck Hunt cart, everybody had that, came with the Nintendo, and Gyromite.
Ooh.
Once we got over how terrible the robot that came with that game was, and how boring it was to play as the pipe lifter dropper, we got into the meat of the Nintendo. Mario, bona fide classic. As time went on, I played so many other Nintendo games that were amazing. Zelda, Metroid, Contra, Metal Gear, Excitebike, Punch-Out, Double Dragon, Ninja Gaiden, or if you were stupid like me, Ninja Gaiden. Back in the day, I didn't know how to pronounce that shit. Donkey Kong, Spy Hunter, Blaster Master, and so many more. These were the games that set me on the path to being a game developer. All the games that came after were stepping stones to a career that I love so much, making products that delight and inspire a whole new era of game makers. But as you grow from a child to an adult, or at least a child masquerading as an adult, you search for identity, and you search for content that feeds your identity. And as I started looking through all the old Nintendo games that I consider classics, and that helped mold me as a child and as a game developer, I realized that all of those old school Nintendo games had no black or brown main characters. What's up with that? I mean, you could say that Mike Tyson's Punch-Out had Mike Tyson, but that's literally a real guy that they had to license the likeness of. And I hope you got paid for that shit, Mike. But besides Punch-Out, can you think of a single game from Nintendo that has a black or brown leading character? Go ahead, Google it. I'll wait. Even if you pause this shit and look, you're gonna come back empty-handed. Isn't it strange that Nintendo never puts out games with black or brown characters as a lead? No, I don't want no fucking smoke with Nintendo fan people everywhere who will defend Nintendo until their dying fucking breath. For what reason, I don't understand. It's just a company. And I'm not trying to get all ultra woke either on Nintendo and force them to make black characters. I'm not trying to do that. It just makes me think about how the culture of an entire country can affect the types of games you make. It should be well known that Japan is an isolated country. They're out there in the middle of the fucking ocean with very little exposure to cultures that are outside of themselves and with very traditional roots. And in the 80s, this was probably tenfold. The other thing is that Asian cultures tend to glorify white faces, white bodies, and white culture. So their games sometimes don't even feel particularly Japanese. Mario, Italian plumber. Luigi, Italian plumber. Samus Aran, white blonde lady. Blaster Master, little white kid. Gyromite, old white balding dude. Bimmy and Jimmy from Double Dragon, two white guys. Ryu from Ninja Gaiden? Alright, Japanese maybe, but I think more likely American Japanese. Excitebike? Well, they had a helmet on, so you couldn't really tell. Of course, this could have also been the way that they marketed games to the West, right? But I don't know. Run the list. Even look at Smash Brothers, the latest one with the million bajillion characters. Is there a single black or brown character in there? Unless you count the fucking watch game guy who is literally a black person? The only thing close to a brown or black guy is Ganon in his human form. And he's kind of green, like olive almost. It doesn't tarnish my love for those old games or those old characters. Shit, I thought Blaster Master was the coolest little white boy ever. But it makes me realize how little familiar representation there was in the games I played growing up. But the people making those games didn't know any little boys like me. So it's kind of real. No, it is not lost on me how potentially idiotic of a move that I've just made. I'm talking about Japanese culture from the 80s that seems closed-minded and kind of racist during a time when we're all about pumping up Asian people and protecting Asian people and making sure that Asian people are safe and embracing their heritage. I ain't trying to start no shit with Asian people. This is just a subject matter that I thought about months ago. You know what I mean? This is a subject I wanted to talk about from months ago. So it has nothing to do with the recent focus on Asian culture and Asian issues. I mean, I grew up on Japanese culture. It was pumped into my brains from a very young age. I swear half of me is Japanese at this point.
I swear half of me is Japanese.
I adore the culture, okay? Okay, you get the idea. And because I love Japan so much and I tried to go with a homie, but shit got in the way. We had it all planned out. We were going to go. We was going to do, of course, you got to do like Tokyo and Akiba and stuff, but also like Kyoto and like, oh man, it was going to be sweet. But we didn't end up going. Shit got canceled. Life gets in the way, whatever. But yeah, so I love everything pretty much that comes out of Japan. I've super nerd alert, honest truth, secret time or whatever.
Yeah.
I've down to like building Gunpla.
Gunpla, a portmanteau of Gundam plastic model, is the common name for plastic model kits depicting the vehicles and characters of the fictional Gunpla universe by Bandai.
And like taking pictures of plastic robots on stands that I've painted and added moss to myself. Super nerdy shit about Japanese culture that I'm super into. But that being said, like especially the older heads in Japan, they kind of backwards with the race thing, okay? And that shit had to have existed back in the 80s with Nintendo. Like, these people don't see black people or brown people or island people or nothing like that. They living in this bubble, right? Like, go on fucking YouTube and search black dude in Japan. And there's a video of a dude walking through Japan and like people turning and like looking at him and being like, what the fuck is that thing? Nani? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Like, so they are not used to those cultures, to Western, certain types of Western culture, African cultures for sure. Maybe even like other Asian cultures, but I don't know. I haven't been there. Yeah, I mean, even like, y'all remember that fucking Vine of the kid in the Iron Man mask who walks up to the lady and is like, yo, boo. But he has the Iron Man mask on and she's like, yeah, what's the big deal? And he takes off the Iron Man mask and he's a black kid underneath and she's like, what the fuck? Like, this exists. This is not a lie. It's not a made up thing. It's like, you know, yeah, backwards people everywhere. You know what I mean? It's interesting though, how Nintendo usually handles other cultures in their characters. Like the Goron, for example. I've always kind of seen a Goron as like a Samoan dude. You know what I mean? That's a Samoan dude. Oh yeah, yeah. You could literally look up Zelda races, like the Zora and shit, and like whatever the tribe is that lives in the desert. Always, they always just seem like, yeah, those are Arab people, or those are Middle Eastern people. You know. I'm clearly not the only person to think this because I'm searching now, and other people are bringing this up. They're like, what the fuck? There's no black Nintendo characters. And that'll probably lead to pressure to put more black characters. There is one. There's a girl from Splatoon. One of the characters from Splatoon is black. And then there's that boxing game with the hair. What is it? I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. It just makes me think, like, what kind of a person would I have been if I had grown up playing games with a lot of black and brown characters in them? Like, how would that have affected me as a person, my comfort in the world, my feeling of identity, my feeling of place? You know what I mean? Speaking of, you know, a question like, do you find a space of trust, a place, a belonging? You know what I mean? Because like what we take in as media definitely affects who we are, who we become. Because we're different every time we consume media. We're changed. And the more we're exposed to shit, the more we're changed. So, yeah, I wonder what kind of effect that has on kids. And like kids coming up now who are probably feeling a lot more confident about their own identity because they are seeing more black and brown characters in games. That's something that constantly revitalizes my love of games as time goes on, is the inclusion of more unique cultural representation in games. Like, yo, when I first played Jet Set Radio, and that game came out of Japan, and yeah, it has some like eyebrow raising stereotypes and stuff in it, but like it was a huge step forward of embracing like hip hop culture, black culture, because guess what? Hip hop culture is black culture. Can we just fucking say that and agree on that already? Flip it however you want. Anybody could do hip hop, but can we please agree that is a black cultural thing? Like, for fuck's sake. But yeah, Jet Set Radio was refreshing to me as a youth. You know what I mean? It made me pay attention to that game. Same thing with Metal Gear Rising. I said that earlier in another episode. There's a Guyanese boy, a boy from Guyana. Like, if I had seen that shit coming up, a boy from Guyana in a video game, I don't even know what would have done to my fucking ego, you know, or your id, or your super ego, whatever you want to call it. Seeing representation like that in a game in a medium that empowers people, right? Games empower people. So seeing that as a youth in games has powerful effects, y'all. And as popular as games are, we have not only an opportunity, but a responsibility to teach kids right, because kids play games. Kids always gonna play games because games are fun. Only when you become an adult, you forget how to have fucking fun. But kids know how to have fun, and games are fun. And if we can, improve this fucking, representation in games, if we can just be a little more conscious and a little more invested in representation in games, as developers, I think it'd make a huge step in terms of improving humanity, man. Wow, I got really deep. I'm gonna tone it down. That was fucking deep. I mean, I gotta smoke more of this shit. Speaking of which, weed notes. So some of y'all might know, most of y'all might know, that I'm a huge fan of marijuana and weed consumption. And I try to give you guys a little insight into what I'm smoking today. So I'm going to do that. I got a batch of a couple of new things. Still got some GDP on deck, no doubt. Always have to have that. But yeah, I got some Gorilla Glue. Right? Gorilla Glue. Super fun. It's already like ground. So like I don't have to do shit. I just put it in my vape. It's awesome. Gorilla Glue. Potent. Yes. Very potent. Will fully relax you. Fully bring your shoulders all the way down. Doesn't taste great. Kind of tastes like soil. It's not a great flavor. And then I got this other stuff. What is it? Blueberry Headbang. All right. Blueberry Headbang. I haven't tried it yet. Shit. If I try it, I will definitely try it live. But from the the testing data, THC is 0.39%. I'm like, yo, what the fuck, headband? THC is 18.1, and then a bunch of zeros on everything else except CBGA, which is 1.69. But we'll see how much of a headband this blueberry puts on me. Curious about the flavor too, so 1 second. So this batch is actually from Green Gold, I guess. I've never even heard of this brand. They have an interesting top. It's like totally childproof. You gotta line up these fucking arrows and shit. It's like one of those fucking puzzle boxes from Hellraiser or some shit. Open the shit. Ooh, fresh sealed. All right, let's pop it. This is for all you ASMR motherfuckers out there. Was that good for you? Did that make you come? I hope so. Oh my god, it smells so good. Damn, this is fresh as fuck. It smells like a pine tree almost. All right, let me grind this up. Now, usually when you're vaping, you want your buds to be dry. This is a little wet, but that is a bummer about a vape, though. Unless you're using something like a PAX, that it takes a while to sort of warm up. It's not instantaneous, like just a lighter and straight to your face. So yeah, that is a drawback. Some of these new vapes are heating up real quick. Like the PAX heats up fucking in like 30 seconds, maybe less than 30 seconds. But it burns your shit a lot quicker. This shit I'm using here is the Mighty. I mean, if you a weed head and you vape and you know about the Mighty. The Mighty is like the god of all fucking vapes. Portable vapes anyway. Stores and Bickle are the gods of vaping technology. Whoa. It tastes like a fucking deciduous forest. It's tickling my nose a little bit. Fills up your nostrils with like herbs and spices. Oh yeah. It's smooth. It's super smooth. Really in my nose, just like fills up your sinuses. It's a weird thing. It's like when you vape, you tend to sneeze more than you cough. Except like, you know, like when you smoke, you cough like crazy. You see them motherfuckers in the rap, it's like bad chest coughs and shit. This shit gets up in your nostril and your nasal cavities. Shit, I could feel my glaucoma clearing right up on this shit. For real, it makes things a little bit sharper. Reminds me of French toast, another one of my favorites. Yeah, it kind of sharpens imagery in your vision. At least early on. I feel kind of energized too. I love shit that energizes you. Makes you want to like create shit, write music, do work, do whatever, make art. Yeah, I like this. And it makes me like talkative too. It's probably a good social strain. Yeah, Blueberry Headband. Yo, shout out to Ryan who was asking for Blue Dream. This has a similar effect to Blue Dream, bro. You might want to check out Blueberry Headband from Green Gold. It's a hybrid. High THC. I might feel it in a little bit. Well, not high, but like relatively high THC on it. But it might be worth it for the sort of energetic boost it gives you. I'm like, it's almost like a physical boost as well. So I might do some push-ups and shit right now. I might do some squats. Y'all hear me do some squats? I'm squatting, man. Y'all can hear me getting further away from the microphone every time I squat. Gotta do like 10 of these on this shit. Blueberry Headband make you want to do squats. Hey, squat walk. Hey, squat walk.
Squat walk. Squat walk. Squat walk. Squat walk. Squat walk, yeah. Squat walk, yeah. Squat walk, yeah. Squat walk, yeah.
So my wife sent me this article about people developing like new games for old consoles like the Game Boy, for example. So, you know, fully embracing them ugly ass brown pixels and making a game for it. I think it's a cool idea using stuff like GB Studios and stuff like that. That's a way to kind of infuse the retro library with more games that have black and brown leading characters. If heads out there are making new games with these kind of characters in them, it'll mix, especially if they're putting it out on old school carts, like they actually go in the distance and doing manufacturing and making a legit cart that fits in an old school Game Boy. If kids pick up and play an old school console, they might run into a game that was made more recently with characters that are more familiar and represent them. Nostalgia. People fondly remember the Game Boy. I even got a homie that posted how he was doing like vinyl wraps for his Game Boy shell and like recoloring buttons and like just making your Game Boy look fresh as fuck, because it's like all the old ones are like gray, or if they ever see any sunlight, like yellowish gray. You know, they look like that old Game Boy brick, but people are like zazzing them up with all these fresh colors and wraps and shit. Going that route of like, you know, people like buy really expensive record players and those crazy ass like ceramic speakers to listen to music on, to listen to some old fucking Coltrane record on. Same shit. People gonna be doing some vintage restorations of Game Boys and shit. Motherfuckers gonna be lining up paying my dollars for that shit. Wow, time flies. To be honest, when I started this episode, I wasn't sure I had enough content to make it to the end, and I was kind of dreading it a little bit. But guys and gals, if you start something, just see it through. You never know what might happen. Here we are, fucking damn near 30 minutes in. I was paranoid. I was worried. No big deal. Everything worked out fine. We filled the time. Hopefully you enjoyed it. because I enjoyed it. But before we go, we always have to end with a
meditate.
Fellow bullshit yogis, as we re-enter society, we must not forget that there will be haters out there. The haters have been dormant for quite a while, at least in the real world. So we must be prepared as a people, as a greasy people, to face these haters, not with a fist of justice, but with an open Shaolin palm. Dear haters, my dear pre-emergent haters, get your rest, prepare yourselves, gather your nutrients, up your nitrogen levels, make sure your phosphorus levels are at 0, add iron for strong root growth, because when we emerge haters, your weeds will have to try their hardest to choke us back. Your tendrils will have to reach deep beyond our root structure to try and strangle us. You may send your spores into the air, haters. The trade winds will carry your spores beyond our reach, because the wind favors us, haters. The thunderstorms will flood your roots and leaves, but will provide nutrients to mine. Be prepared, haters. The summer months are ahead. Droughts are in all our futures. But we have been fertilized, while you antagonize.
Got these running.
yeah, haters. Summer's coming. Prepare for the drought, for the heat. We've been waiting all fucking winter for y'all. We've been waiting all spring for y'all. Come through. Come through. We got irrigation systems in this motherfucker, man. We got motherfuckers with hoses, with nozzles and shit. Misting nozzles and shit. Y'all weeds ain't gonna make it out here. You know about tenacity? About the tenacity your ass. Look it up. All right, y'all. We made it. I made it through. Whoo! It was gonna be a rough one, but I did it. You gotta take the wins when you get them. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for checking out another episode of Greasy Says. If you want to interact with me more, hit me up on social media. That's Greasy Says, GreasySays, and that's on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow me, like my stuff, do all that. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. Oh, we're on Google now. We're on Google Podcasts now. We are on Google Podcasts now. I know some of y'all out there like to listen to your shit on Google Podcasts. Well, guess what? Greasy Says is on Google Podcasts now. You know what I mean? So go subscribe. Go like. Yo, and if you're on, I've said it before, if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave me a review. If you can find the time in your day to just drop a 5-star, drop a little blurb. Some people have done it. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
All right. You could also check out my music on Spotify, Bandcamp, and Soundcloud.
Music.
That's under M-Cue, M-C-U-E. That's how you spell it. All right. So, yo, greasy people. Thanks for coming out. Like, subscribe, comment, give me feedback. Tell me to go fuck myself. And until next time, it's me, Greasy, hanging out where the fools be, checking out with the room key. Latest.